to the right, maybe to the left. Maybe yes, maybe no. It's like, for $64,000, sir, are you the kind of person who can make quick decisions? Well, maybe yes, maybe no. A lot of people live their lives, maybe yes, maybe no. So number C, what is your mission? What is your mission for yourself and your life? What is your mission for yourself and your business? Leaders have mission. Mission, by the way, is the galvanizing force in your life. And a mission is an ideal future state. And it's in the present tense. Let me give you an example of a mission. People say, well, companies are supposed to have missions, not people. Nonsense. You're the president of your own company. Therefore, you need a mission for your own life, right? And the more clear your mission is, we have found over and over again, the more clear you are about where you want to be sometime in the future, the much likelier you are to achieve that. So, we say a mission. Let us say your mission is, I am. We always start off with I am. It's a present tense statement of a desired future condition. I am an outstanding professional in my field. I am admired and respected by everyone with whom I work. I am one of the highest paid and best remunerated people in my profession in the country. I am intensely service-oriented. I am liked and looked up to by everyone with whom I work, and I keep my life in a high level of balance with all the important things in my life in their proper places. There's a good mission. It's a pretty specific mission. But you know what you can do with a mission? You can hold it up and say, how are we doing? And you just keep comparing yourself to your mission. What do we know about leaders? Yes, leaders set very high standards for themselves. They don't need to have standards imposed on them from the outside. They set very high standards for themselves, and they continually compare themselves against their own standards. Am I living up to the best that is in me? Am I living up to the best that is in me? So you always have to ask yourself, am I living up to the best that is in me? Am I living up to my true mission in life? And your mission is to do something wonderful with your life. Your mission is to do something wonderful with your life. You see, you are extraordinary. I was thinking about this morning, that if you, like a runner, were to run 100% full blast for your entire life, you would never come within miles of utilizing your full potential. You'd never come within miles or shouting distance of becoming everything you're capable of becoming. The study in brain research is really interesting, and Stanford here has done a lot of interesting work in it. They say that nature, God, is extraordinarily generous with us and gives us enormous potentials, and all we have to do is use a fraction of them to have an extraordinary life. But the greater men and women just use a little fraction more. You don't have to leap buildings with a single bound in order to do extraordinary things. You just have to use a little bit more of what you already have. As I said yesterday, you don't have to be somebody different. You just have to be more of what you already are. And what you already are is extraordinary. Sometimes people say, what kind of a seminar is this? And I say it's a sales seminar. And it's a sales seminar in this sense, is that my job is to sell you on yourself. And if I'm successful, by the end of the day, you'll have bought. And every single time I'm successful and a person buys, and they walk out and they've bought themselves, they have accepted that they have extraordinary capabilities, and the nickel has dropped and it's locked in, and they've slammed the door on the doubts and fears and maybes and ifs and what ifs and so on. If a person walks out of here sold, their life will be extraordinary. When you walk out of here sold, and we use the word when you walk out of here sold tonight, your life will be extraordinary as well. And there are no limits, except the limits we impose on ourselves, right? Right? So, it's very important. Set up a mission. And don't say, well, other people could do it and you couldn't do it. Of course you could do it. Of course you could do it. Anything anybody else has done, you can do as well. Isn't that right? Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. Right? All right. Number 2 is courage. Now, of all the research that's been done, courage is number 2. And courage means the courage to fulfill the vision. Say, it's one thing to have a great vision of what you'd like to do and a mission and a purpose and values and clarity and everything else. We can all do this. It was Goethe, the German philosopher, who said you can develop any quality in solitude except character. Character requires the cut and thrust of the world. You can sit in an ivory tower in a little room with the door closed and you can just be a super person. You can have wonderful qualities, but if you want to be a person of character, you've got to go out into the world where you have to deal with problems that come with hair on top, if you know what I mean. In other words, courage is absolutely essential because you can have vision in a closed room. But courage is when you go outside and now you have to do something. Now you have to face and risk failure and rejection and loss and disappointment and disapproval and ridicule and embarrassment and poverty and everything else. Now you have to move out of the comfort zone. Now you have to do scary stuff. I'm going to give you a philosophical point that comes from that great American philosopher, Michael Jordan. Yesterday I said one of the most important principles of all is everything counts. Everything counts. Everything counts. Weak people say, well, it doesn't matter. Superior people say everything counts. You will find, by the way, the very best people in every field are the ones who are the most fastidious about the details in that field. The very worst people in every field are the ones who are sloppy about the details. The very act of paying attention to details makes you a superior person. The very act of ignoring or sloughing off details moves you down on the ladder of evolution. All your best people are meticulous about details. Simple one-liner, no extra charge. And everything counts. Everything counts. Everything helps or hurts. Everything adds up or takes away. Nothing is neutral. Everything counts. But here's what the great American philosopher Michael Jordan said, just do it. Just do it. This is one of the great rules for success in life. Once you have a goal and a plan and a purpose and a mission and a focus, just do it. The world is full of people, the bottom 90%, who are talkers. They're talkers and procrastinators. They're excuse makers and rationalizers. They're dreamers and deniers, and they live in a world of self-illusion. But the top 10% of people are action-oriented. They just do it. Now, does this mean that top people like yourself are unafraid? No, you're afraid. I'm afraid. We're all afraid. Every one of us is afraid. Nothing wrong with that. Fear goes with the territory. The only question is, do you act in spite of the fear, or do you have the fear overwhelm you? Do you allow the fear to dominate your life, or do you confront the fear and do it anyway? And the answer is, superior people are afraid, but they act anyway. Average people are afraid and they are paralyzed. They think of all the reasons why it might not work. Two critical ideas that have been helpful to me. Losers always say, I wonder whether it will work. I wonder whether. Winners always say, how. The great word for success is how. When you decide you want something, you want to be happier, healthier, thinner, more prosperous, more successful, the question is not wondering whether it's possible. The only question is how. How can I do it? How can I get from where I am to where I want to go? How? How? That's got to be your mantra. Just do it. Figure out how and just do it. Don't get bogged down in whether. Whether will lead to fear and doubt and paralysis. But how will lead to creativity, stimulation, ideas, insights, help, and a whole lot of other things. So, just do it. Just think in terms of how. How do I get from where I am to where I want to go? And here's another thing between high performers and low performers. Low performers, when they hear something good like this, they say, well, yeah, but what if it doesn't work? But what do high performers say? No, they say, what if it does work? What if it does work? If I say, do this, write this down, try this out, it's based on the experience of hundreds of thousands of millions of people who started with nothing and became successful. And I spent 30 years of my life learning it and testing it and sharing it with over 1 million people. So therefore, there's probably some substance to it. You know, it's not perfect. There is no end to, there's no perfection. But nonetheless, it's worked for so many countless other people, it'll work for you. But still, the average person will say, yeah, but what if it doesn't work? The superior person says, what if it does? What if it does? And I can save weeks and months and years of hard work by doing what someone else has taken a lifetime to learn. I can just piggyback. There's a wonderful line from the life of Sir Isaac Newton, who in a book of the most influential men and women in history is considered to be the 6th most important person in history. Sir Isaac Newton, in his century, dominated the world of physics, mathematics, light, changed our whole concept of the universe. And at the end of his life, he was asked, of course, by many people, he had been knighted, he had changed the entire world, and they asked him several times, and he gave several different answers, but I loved one of his answers. They said, how is it that you could have accomplished so much as a single man? And he said, if I have accomplished anything, you've heard this, if I have accomplished anything in my life, it has not been because I have been so smart. By the way, smart people are never impressed with their own intelligence. Stupid people always are. He said, it's not that I have been so smart. He said, it's because I have stood on the shoulders of giants. Now, this expression now works its way through the modern times, and it's in all of our textbooks. It says, the dwarf that stands on the shoulder of the giant can see further than the giant. Now, the shoulders of the giants are the people who came before, who learned it before. So you don't have to be a giant to see further than a giant. You can be a dwarf, just stand on the shoulders of giants. The smartest of all people are the ones who learn from others. I met a gentleman some years ago named Kopmeyer who spent 54 years studying success. And I had read all his books and listened to all his tapes. And I met him and I asked him, of all these 1,000 principles that you've derived over an entire lifetime, advisor to 6 presidents, what are the most important? And you know, he said his most important principle, he said it without hesitation. It was like breathing in, breathing out. He said, learn from the experts. He said, you'll never live long enough to learn it all by yourself. Learn from those who've gone before you. Exactly what Sir Isaac Newton said, stand on the shoulders of giants. And constantly ask yourself, what if it works? What if it works? These other people made it work, hundreds of thousands of millions of them. What if I made it work for myself as well? And then once you've decided that, then the expression is what? It's just do it. Just do it. That's the mark of the superior person. They just do it. Okay, now here's the keys to courage. A, the future belongs to the risk takers. The future doesn't belong to the comfort seekers. It doesn't belong to the fearful people who, crouch around and crawl around and take what's left. The future belongs to people who move boldly out of the comfort zone. And B, boldness is really the quality. Boldness means the willingness to initiate action with no guarantee of results. The willingness to initiate action with no guarantee of results. There's a basic rule that successful people are not those who necessarily make the right decisions, but they make their decisions right. You see, I could talk about this all day, but there is a principle that says that when you launch like a missile towards your goal, you will start to get feedback at a rapid rate. And the feedback will enable you to change your course. But if you take the most sophisticated missile in the world, a missile that can hit a target no matter where it goes once it's fired, that can take feedback through its guidance mechanism, the most sophisticated missile in the world cannot adjust course until it's in flight. And that's the key to understand. That you cannot adjust course, you can't get better, you can't get feedback, you can't learn, you can't improve unless you're in flight. So just do it. Launch. Project towards your goal and say, don't worry. Someone once said that if every possible objection must first be answered, if every possible obstacle must first be overcome before acting, nothing will ever get done. Be clear about what you want and then launch. And it's absolutely amazing. Emerson said with regard to boldness, he said, do the thing and you will have the power. Act boldly and unseen forces will come to your aid. Act boldly. In the Starship Enterprise series, Star Trek, remember that wonderful line that it opens up with all the time? The Starship Enterprise is designed what? To go boldly where no one has ever gone before. That's what your life must be. To go boldly where no one has ever gone before. And what will happen is the most incredible things. If you move out of the comfort zone, you will learn at a rate that you've never believed possible. You will learn so fast that you will learn what you need to do to be successful. But if you sit in the comfort zone, you never will. So the third quality of leaders is integrity. Now, integrity could probably be put as number 1. Integrity is the most desired and respected quality of leadership. It is so important. And by the way, these qualities are not, maybe I'll take this, maybe I'll take that. This is not a smorgasbord where you can take some and leave the others. All of these qualities, 7 of them, are essential for leadership. If you lack any one, you have no hope. If you lack any one, basically you're sabotaged. But if you have each of these to a high degree, you become an extraordinary person. Now, integrity, in many cases, is the most important of all. When I was doing some work with a major corporation, the president said to me, after we had laid up the values for the company on the board, we voted, and they all voted that integrity was number 1. That would be the most important organizing principle for this company. And then he mentioned, and he was a very smart man, one of the smartest people in the country and one of the wealthiest. He said, Brian, he said, Texas. Brian, he said, it's interesting about this quality integrity. He said, as I said, he said, integrity is not a quality by itself. He said, it's the quality that guarantees all the other qualities. Smart, huh? Isn't that a great insight?